Hello, everybody. Thank you once again for joining me on my latest YouTube channel video. Today, this is a response to it's a response to somebody that sent me a text sometime last week, and they goes, "Well, we know you like David Bowie. Have you got his first album?" So, in all honesty, yes and no. I've got his first album, but it's not an original; it's a reissue. So I thought we'd take a look at that. So it's going to be one of my little specials, because remember, this is a record collecting channel as well as the Beatles channel, though 99% of the time it is the Beatles. But I think for this one, David Bowie. I think most people like David Bowie anyway, don't they? Very underlooked album anyway. So once again, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, just remember, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you're new to the channel, just hit the like button, the subscribe button, and then the notifications button, and then you'll get notifications for when I'm doing new videos. Like I say, 99% of the time it is the Beatles, but we do, from time to time, little features on other artists. And today's featured artist is David Bowie, with his debut 1967 LP, which was simply called David Bowie. Now, this was originally released in 1967, and I think I seem to remember, if I've got my facts right, it was released on the same day as Sergeant Pepper, I think, or the same week. This is a double album, believe it or not. And I think I got this in 2013, 2014, something like that. So it's 14 songs. So technically getting 28 songs, because you get a mono and a stereo version of the album. So you've got Uncle Arthur, Sew Me a Coat, Rubber Band. Well, Rubber Band was David Bowie's first single release for DRAM Records in the end of 1966. Love You Till Tuesday, which was a single, never did anything. Rubber Band and Love You Till Tuesday never, although there was released as singles, they never actually charted at the time. There Is a Happy Land, We Are Hungry Men, and When I Live My Dream. Side 2 is Little Bombardier, Silly Boy Blue, Come and Buy My Toys, Join the Gang, She's Got Medals, Maids of Bond Street, and Please Mr. Gravedigger. Now, you might be thinking, well, why isn't the laughing name on it? Simply because it's not. So that is the front cover, and that is the back cover. So that is how the original album would have come. Now, the original album obviously would have only been one disc. But like I say, this is a reissue, so you get the whole album in mono on one disc, and then you get the whole album in stereo on the next disc. So it's mono in stereo, and the number is 532760-1. And it does actually say it's still part. It says DRAM Records, this compilation 2010, Decca Music Group Limited, a member of Universal Music. That is all the track listing. And on the front, on the hype sticker on the front, which is here, it says David Bowie. David Bowie, the original mono and stereo versions of the DRAM album, newly remastered from the original master tapes and available together for the first time in a deluxe gatefold sleeve on 180-gram vinyl. So the original album wasn't a gatefold. So the original number for this LP would have been DRAM, and it would have been SML 1007, which I think that means that would have been the stereo one, wouldn't it? Yeah, stereo. You actually get a photo of it in here, which is nice. That would have been the original stereo version. And then you get that there, just a bit of information. Nice heavyweight gatefold sleeve, really constructed, really, really nice. Yeah, so the original album was released on 1st of June 1967. So the mono album was DML 1007. And the stereo album was released on the same day, and the original catalogue number for that would have been SML 1007. So you get all, the tracks now I think are the same on both of them. Just one's mono and one's stereo. Which is this one? Just check which one it is first, so I don't make a fool of myself. The first one is the mono one. And it comes in a nice little inner sleeve, biography, Decca Records, David Bowie, D-Ram. David Bowie, born in Brixton, now considers himself to be a suburban Londoner that actually comes from Bromley, Kent, where he has lived with his parents and a dog named Leo. He's 19 years old. It's a biography of him there. That smudge is meant to be there. I haven't just smudged that. That is because this is a reproduction of an original letter. Leave that there. So if you wanted to freeze it, you could actually see what was on it. Now we'll have a look at the vinyl. I don't even know if I've ever played this. So side one, you get Uncle Arthur, Sell Me a Coat, Rubber Band, Love You Till Tuesday, There Is a Happy Land, We Are Hungry Men, and When I Live My Dream. All songs written by David Bowie. Made in England by the Decca Record Co. Limited. That's side one. Side two, you get Little Bombardier, Silly Boy Blue, Come and Buy My Toys, Join the Gang, She's Got Medals, Maids of Bond Street, and Please Mr. Gravedigger. Nice, and you can tell it. You can tell it's a 180 gram record because it is very, very heavy. I think the labels look really, really nice. They have done the utmost to make it look as authentic as possible. In the early 80s, I actually did have this album. It wasn't the original, but I seem to remember it was released or semi-re-released. It's just a single album, stereo single album. With that sleeve, so that was the sleeve. It wasn't a gatefold. And it was on really, really, really thin vinyl. And I mean really thin. You could go like that and it would wobble. And the sound quality wasn't actually that good on it. That's the mono one. So now we'll look at the stereo one. Nice in the sleeve. And that has actually got liner notes on here. So this is like a mini replica of the original sleeve for the stereo album. Although this is in the sleeve, but this is what the original album would have looked like. So you would have had your liner notes there. That tells you what it is. And the liner notes was actually written by a bloke called Kenneth Pitt, who was actually David Bowie's manager at the time. So if I hold that there, if you want to freeze that and then, superimpose it, you can see what it says. I'm not going to bother saying it also. I mean, for saying he was 19 years old when he recorded this. Uncle Arthur is a brilliant song, although if you didn't know it, you wouldn't think it was David Bowie. In fact, this is nothing like what David Bowie became in later years, the Ziggy Stardust and all that lot. Not even really any hints of like Space Oddity or anything like that on this album. It is more, I'd say, a pop album, as in the wide term pop, as in being an entertainer. He sounds a lot like a bloke called what was his name? Anthony Newley. If any of you remember him, I mean, I know of him. I can't really remember him, but I know my mum used to like Anthony Newley, and it does sound a lot like Anthony Newley on a lot of these songs, because he uses like a more sort of like thick London accent on some of the songs. Uncle Arthur's a brilliant song anyway. If you haven't heard that, I just check that one out, stream it, whatever. It's quite a funny song. Not as weird as The Laughing Gnome, but just like a jolly song. Sell Me a Coat again is a goodish song. Rubber Band should have really been a hit, I think. Love You Till Tuesday was brilliant. And obviously later on he did do a promotional film called Love You Till Tuesday, but he re-recorded the song for that. There's A Happy Land Is Okay. We Are Hungry Men is a bit of a weird one. When I Live My Dream is absolutely fantastic. That could have been a single, to be honest. When I live my dream, please be there to greet me. Happy at the sound of your voice. Little Bombardier's good. Silly Boy Blue is brilliant. Come Buy Me Toys is okay. Join the Gang's okay. She's Got Medals is okay. Maids of Bond Street is okay. Please Mr. Gravedigger is like, I wouldn't say it's a standout track, but it's a very, very strange track. It's basically just David Bowie, sort of like half singing, half saying the lyrics. No music whatsoever. It's just him saying, please, Mr. Gravedigger, da, da, da. And the da, da, da is him going da, da, da. Then he was 19 and he's like on about a grave and somebody that killed a girl, and it's like it is a story in a song, and I can't really do it justice by saying that. I think the best thing you can do if you don't know it is see if you can stream it. But yeah, for saying how he went on after this album, because of course in 1968 he didn't really do anything, did he? And then in 1969 he sort of had like he did have a hit with Space Oddity, didn't he? And then he did another album, which again was originally called just David Bowie, which was later re-released as Space Oddity. And even the songs on there don't really, they are a bit more sort of like spacey and science fictiony. Some of them, basically, that is just like a folk album into Space Oddity, if you listen to it. But this, I would say, at the time, this is more of how David Bowie was. But you've got to remember, even here, when he was 19, he'd actually been recording since 1964, I think it was. He'd been on he'd already worked for Decca as David Jones and the King Bees, wasn't it? On the Violation record label. Then he'd done a few for Parlophone, hadn't he? As David Jones and the Lower Third, I think. And then he eventually went, David Bowie and the Mission Boys. Then he went to Pie, and he did 3 singles for Pie. As David Jones and the Lower Third, and then I think the last single was was the first one classed as David Bowie. So yeah, to be honest, I've always liked this album. I think it's a cracking little album. If you can ever get the original one, which would be like this, so it's not a gatefold. This is how the original one would have been. Although this is the inner sleeve for this one that we are looking at, you will be talking silly money, and I mean silly money. Even the reissue that I had in the 80s, that goes for over £100 now, if you can find one. And if you can find it, it won't be anywhere near as nice as, I mean, this is virtually mint, isn't it? I did show you the labels for this one. So this is the one that's in mono has got more of an orangey label, where this is a red label, although you might not be able to tell the difference. Same mixes, just one's first one was mono and this one's stereo. Like I say, brilliant album. If you haven't ever listened to it, please feel free to stream some of the songs. And if you like what you can hear, like what you hear, go out and buy it. I think you can still get a version of this in HMV and shops like that at the minute, but I'm not sure if it's this double one or if it's just a single one there. Like I say, it's an absolutely fantastic album. It's not the David Bowie that we all, grew up with in the 1970s and the 1980s. It's a very, very different David Bowie on this. Every song is written by him, and you can see certain aspects. Some are like sort of like a bit autobiographical, like about his life. Some of them are obviously made up. The one that should be on here that isn't on here, which I'm surprised isn't on here as like a bonus track, is the London Boys, because that was the B side of Rubber Band, I think. Could be wrong. Which he actually re-recorded for the Toy album. But yes, so that's David Bowie by David Bowie. Not to be confused with the album that came out originally on Mercury in 1969 called David Bowie by David Bowie, which was then re-released as Space Oddity, because Space Oddity was on the album. But this is the original David Bowie album. I don't know how much it's worth. I couldn't tell you. I know I paid about £25 for when I got it, but I do know I've seen this one, this version on eBay a couple of days ago, and they wanted something like £75 for it, which makes me think that the one, if I remember rightly, but I am going back a few months ago when I went into HMV, and they did have something that looked like this, but I don't think it was a double album. I think it was just a single album, and they wanted something like 35 quid for that, I think. So yeah, it is a very, very underrated album. If you're just a casual Bowie fan, then you probably won't want this. You could probably get a lot of the songs on this on some of the like cheaper compilations of his early work. But if you're completist and you want to hear what David Bowie sounded like before he was famous, sort of thing. Although he did have, that's wrong really what I'm saying there, because he did have like success. He just didn't have chart success. He was doing radio shows and things like that when this came out, and even after this came out. So he did have some sort of success. It's just he never really had any chart success when before he did Space Oddity. So yeah, I would highly recommend it, especially this version, because you're getting the mono and the stereo versions. Like I say, if you ever find this for under £50 and you've got the money to buy it, because we're all on budget, aren't we? Whether it's £5, £50 or £500, we all work to a budget. And the way things are, going at the minute, not everybody's got £50 to spend on an album. If you're thinking, well, I don't really know many of them songs, Dave, like I say, I think you can stream some of these songs on like your Spotify's and things like that. So if you wanted to just like listen to a couple, I'd say the highlights off this album are Uncle Arthur, Rubber Band, Love You Till Tuesday, When I Live My Dream, Silly Boy Blue, and Please Mr. Gravedigger. I'd say they were like the ones that stand out to me. You might disagree. And obviously, if you've got this album, you've got the original, if you've got this one, or you've got a version of this album, please let me know what you think are the outstanding tracks. Like I said, the only thing that lets this album down a little bit is it hasn't got the London Boys on it. But then again, it was never on the album, was it? That was never on the album, so they could have done it as like a bonus track or something. They could have put out about the bonus track of like the Laughing Gnomon, was it the Gospel According to Tony Day? That could have been on one of them, couldn't it? And then they could have had the London Boys and what else on the other one. So it does tell you, in all that there, it does actually tell you who played on it with them as well, things like that. So yeah, lovely album, very overlooked in a lot of ways. If you ever see the original one, do make sure it is an original one. The original British version or UK version, because it was re-released in the late 70s, and it does look like it's British, but it's actually German, and the catalogue number is slightly different, although it looks like it's British one. It's not, and the vinyl isn't very good on it, and the sound quality is not up to what you're going to get on this and what you'd get on the original. I'd give it 10 out of 10. But then again, I'm a big Bowie fan. You know, if you're just a casual fan, you probably think, "Oh, that don't sound like David Bowie," but it doesn't sound like David Bowie. Well, it does. It sounds like what David Bowie sounded like in 1967, 1966, 1967. So you don't get your John and Moni dancing and Ziggy Stardust and things like that. Like I say, sounds. I think Kenneth Pitt wanted him to be more like an all-round entertainer, as in the like sort of Tommy Steele and you know, that sort of thing. So you know, he could like make films and things like that and do the odd pop song and you know, but that's part of the band. It's what it is. And what it is a nice little forgotten gem in a lot of ways in the David Bowie catalogue. Although, like I say, he recorded. I'm sure I can't remember which one he did on the Toy album. And I know he's done one of them on the Toy album. When I Live My Dream, I think I could be wrong. I know he did a version of the London Boys on it. So that's going to be it for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, although it is Beatle Dave, there. You know, from time to time we do little segments on other artists just to keep people interested. You know, but it is a Beatles channel, but it's also a record collecting channel. So, you know, I'm sorry if I've upset you by doing something other than the Beatles. But you know, I just do things to try and keep people interested. And I'm, you know, as you know, I've been collecting records for over 40 years, so not everything I've got is the Beatles. The majority of it is. Don't get me wrong. You know, if you watch one of the videos I did a tour of my room the other day when I wasn't feeling very well, so it was just the easiest way to do a video, and I had tidied it up a little bit as well. So you know, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. I bet I've got 1,000 to 1,200 Beatles albums. That is Beatles and solo. In total, I've got around 6,000 albums. So a lot of my albums aren't the Beatles. Basically, collect anything. Yes, the Beatles are my main passion. Record collection is a passion of mine. So you know, that's what I'm trying to say. You know, whatever you collect is okay. So don't forget, if you ever see this out in the wilds, as they say now, or even on, you know, your internet sites and stuff, as long as you're not paying stupid money for it, I'd probably say this is probably the cheapest way of still getting this, even though it probably is going to cost you best part of 50 quid. The original 1967 UK pressing is probably going to be around the 200 mark, if anything in decent condition. And like I say, just be a bit wary because there was some from Germany and places like that that came out in the 70s, but they look a hell of a lot like the original UK ones. So that's it. So that's Beatle Dave saying cheerio for everybody now. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, please do. You know, every subscription just makes it worthwhile for somebody like me who hasn't really been doing. I mean, I think this is the 8th month now. You know, but the more subscribers they get, then I know that I'm doing things that people like. If that makes sense. So you know, if you're watching it, please watch it till the end. If you like it and you don't want to subscribe, just leave a thumbs up. If you think, oh yeah, you know, that's quite interesting. I've learned something there, you know, because that's all it is. It's just an old Beatles fanatic and record collector trying to pass on some of his knowledge to people out there, whether the younger people or the people that's just getting into people like David Bowie or the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or whatever. You know, sometimes I will have little stories to say along the way as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed making it. Like I say, so if you haven't subscribed and you do like my video, if you hit the subscription button and then the notifications button, which is down there somewhere, should be, then you'll get notifications for when I'm doing new videos. I might not be doing one now till next weekend. I've done a few this week because I've been off work, so I've had a long weekend. So I thought I'll do a few because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any next weekend because I've got to go back to the Fun Factory soon. Yeah. So until the next time, it's Beatle Dave calling to you from a very wet and dull looking Derbyshire, to be honest, in the UK. Whatever you're doing, please have fun, but above all, stay safe, love one another, and I'll see you soon. And remember, there's always bargains to be had out. Just go to your, whether it's on the internet or go and looking, basically, real crate digging as they call it now. So whatever you're doing, stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you soon. So it's Beatle Dave from UK saying cheerio for now.